it amazing? We don't get a chance to see in society what winning looks like in anything that truly matters, right? We get a chance to see what winning looks like in sports and in film and in music, but we never get a chance to see what winning in life looks like, what winning in marriage looks like, what winning in raising a family looks like, what winning in leaving a legacy looks like. And I read something just recently, I totally loved it. I said, an uncommon life requires an uncommon approach. Isn't it amazing how we all want to live a life different than the masses, but we are so insistent on fitting in with the masses? Harriet Tubman, one of my favorite quotes of all time, she said, "I freed thousands of slaves. I could have freed thousands more if only they knew that they were slaves." And it's funny, I was just sitting right here, I was just looking through some things on my phone. It said, "Ignorance deprives men of freedom because they do not know what alternatives there are. It is impossible to choose to do what one has never heard of." Right? There's so many people in this world that are so concerned and so committed to a particular path and so flexible with the vision that they miss the vision altogether. Right? So we became very committed to identifying what our values were and to begin to live the life we say we believed in. Because it's one thing to talk about our values, it's a completely different thing to live life based upon our values. Right? I find a lot of people, they talk about their values, but when they're in this arena here, they have these values, but when they're in this arena over here, they live out these values, right? If your values aren't the same in every arena that you're in, those aren't values, those are hobbies. And so we became very, very clear about what our value system was, what our non-negotiables were. For us, I'll share with you what our values were, because I'm not trying to push any of our beliefs in you and try to tell you that you need to believe what we believe. But guys, I believe that us identifying our values, beginning to live life according to our values, is absolutely the reason that we're up here on the stage today, right? And so number one in our life became our faith, right? I believe that our life is God's gift to us, and what we do with it is our gift back to Him. And I just believe at the end of our life, I just don't want to stand before God and look at Him and go, I traded my life for money. Because I just believe you'll be greatly disappointed, right? When parents see their children living life far below their potential, it hurts the parents greater than it hurts the children at that moment. I believe that we were all designed for greatness, but we have been programmed to fail. Number two, we believed in being a free couple, right? We believed in being a free couple. Not just, we didn't want to live leftovers with each other. We wanted to live life together. We wanted to build a future together versus make a living apart. Isn't it amazing how in our lives we are so focused on pursuing full-time jobs, but we realize as a result of that we only get to live part-time lives? Full-time jobs and part-time marriages, full-time jobs and part-time parents. Isn't that wild? But that's what the world believes is totally normal. That's what the world believes is normal. We believed in being free parents. Not just mommy at home, desperate housewives while daddy's out working full-time. Not just daddy at home while mommy's out working full-time. Not what I see in Las Vegas, in the city I live in, where he works days and she works nights, or she works days and he works nights. It's like a long-distance relationship in the same house. It's like roommates with tax benefits. Like, we're not roommates with tax benefits. I'm like, dude, I'm not an IRS agent. It's okay, I get it, right? I get it. But the fact is, guys, we believe in being free parents because I believe that our kids' self-image is formed by what they hear, but their values are formed by what they see. And what's unfortunate for most people, what their kids are hearing and seeing is not the same thing. They're hearing us tell our kids that we love them, but then we talk about how we love our jobs. We spend more time with our job than we do with them, and our kids are wondering, who is job? Because there's no way they can comprehend that you're attaching the same words you use with them to something that will never love you back. We believed in building an asset that produced ongoing income. Right? The reason we pursued building an asset wasn't because it was for us. Wasn't because it was our cup of tea. Wasn't because it's what we always wanted to do. Wasn't because it's what we went to school for. It wasn't any of those things. We believed in building an asset because if we did not, then talking about being a free couple and talking about being free parents, saying my wife's the most important thing and saying my kid's the most important thing was truly a bunch of BS. Because if truly those two things were most important to you, then you would not be looking for something that's for you. You'd be looking for absolutely anything that would actually allow you to live out those values. Right? I think I heard Dean say one time, he goes, the guy who started the porta potty business didn't do it because he wanted to be an entrepreneur. He wasn't sitting at home going, honey, I want to be the number one in the number two business. But how many people do we encounter every single day? I got to find what I love. I have to find something I'm interested in. I have to find something that I'm passionate about. It doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense. We believed in being debt-free, right? But living below our means, which in a world of people who do not live below their means, living below your means is tough for a lot of people. Right? It was tough, right? We've decided to live below our means, where we would take a few steps back in society's eyes so we could take quantum leaps beyond them in the future. But it was tough because everything we did, every decision we make was to align ourselves in the greatest position possible to focus all of our attention on building this business. But we believe in being debt-free, not borrowing money to have things. I mean, imagine if you only had what you've paid cash for. Imagine if I snapped my finger and you all only had what you paid cash for, there'd be a lot of homeless, naked, uneducated pedestrians up in this place, wouldn't there be? Isn't that amazing? But we truly believed in doing something significant with our lives. That was kind of our motto since we got married, was we wanted to make an impact, not just exist. Live a life of contribution, not just consumption, where it's all about me, 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 I like what I do. It fulfills me. It's what I'm interested in. It's what I'm good at. But looking out there and stop living selfishly for ourselves, but start living selflessly for others. But we believed in doing something significant. I thought about people who truly did things that were significant, right? It's not about how long you live. It's about what you leave in people. They'll forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And so I think about people who've done significant things in society. The people that we hear about today, the people that history books are written about, like Martin Luther King or Nelson Mandela or Gandhi or any of these people that we all talk about today, of people who've done truly significant things with life. And I think about Martin Luther King, right? Stopped living selfishly for himself and started living selflessly for others, right? Because, you know, Martin Luther King's his life, if you were to read his biography, his life would have been a total piece of cake if he would have just shut his mouth, went to the back of the bus and just went home. His life would have been a piece of cake if he just shut his mouth, walked to the back of the bus. I mean, what's wrong with the back of the bus? Everybody in high school likes the back of the bus, and just went home. But no, he had a dream that, you know, for us, you know, absolutely has affected the way that we all live in society in North America today, because he had a humongous dream, a dream that he would never actually even live to see come to fruition, but he was willing to lay down his life so that that dream and that significant goal of his could be accomplished. But you know, the minute he decided to pursue that dream, you know what's amazing? Death threats, assassination attempts, hate mail, muggings, flaming bricks going through his windows at his house. And isn't it amazing that when you find real men, they are willing to stop living selfishly for themselves and start living selflessly for others? See, your family should never have to sacrifice so that you can have the life that you want. You should be willing to sacrifice so that your spouse and so that your children can have the life they truly deserve. You know, I think about guys like Martin Luther King and I go, why is it that we know Martin Luther King's name? Why is it that we know Martin Luther King's name? But most of us in this room, we don't know our great-grandfather's name. I always ask people that. I go, why do I know Martin Luther King's name, but I don't know my great-grandfather's name? They go, well, Trevor, of course you know Martin Luther King's name. Trevor, he did something. And they're absolutely right. That he did something unbelievably significant with his life. And those became our values. And those became the decision maker, the filter with which we'd make decisions in our lives. We looked at our non-productive time because, yes, we were busy. We had full-time jobs, right? And we looked at our non-productive time, and my dad used to look at me and he said, son, are your values important enough to you that you'd be willing to reprioritize a portion of your non-productive time and invest it into building a future for yourself so that you could buy back the rest of your life? Pay now and play later versus playing around now and paying later. I was like, who wouldn't do that? He goes, most people. I'm like, why? He goes, television, keeping up with the Kardashians. Nintendo games, computer games, 5,000 fake Facebook friends, grown adult men wearing leotards and running around bases, forcing their wife and girlfriend to sit in the stands and act like she's that proud you're now playing the sport she played in junior high. Hey, but you and your 13-year-old daughter have something in common, though. That's cool. Both playing the same sport. You ever met a rich person that bowls? Yeah, me neither. Okay, so the fact is, what I found is this, is that when we don't identify what our purpose is, and we're not winning in life, I truly believe that we're going to look for all of these non-productive activities, shadow activities. What are shadow activities? Activities that would produce the same emotion that you would have hoped to accomplish if you would have truly had the guts to pursue what you truly wanted to accomplish. Because if you're not winning in your marriage, you know, hey, softball's pretty good. If you're not winning financially, World of Warcraft level 15, it's pretty good. Isn't that amazing that we'll look for all sorts of things that will temporarily fill that void for that thing that we would have hoped to accomplish truly in our lives? It's amazing how we live our whole life talking about our near-death experiences, but no one actually ever realizes that all they live in their life is near-life experiences. How close they were to living. How close they were to being able to experience what it's like to be a free couple and actually have a marriage. What it feel like to actually be full-time parents and actually have that quality relationship with your children. But guys, freedom is not free. Freedom is only one generation away from extinction. It is not passed to our children through the bloodstream. It is fought for and defended and given to them to do the same. It has to be defended and fought for. That we have an amazing environment to come into, that would not just be, that not necessarily would be there forever unless new people decided to step up and rise to the challenge and take responsibility over the fact that it's going to require the next generation of leaders. Now, I'm not talking about an age, just the next generation of leaders to step up and take that baton and carry it on for the next 50 years so that our kids and our grandkids have the same opportunity that you and I were given. We decided to wage war on the low expectation culture has set upon our generation. Culture expects absolutely nothing of Generation Y, other than Nintendo, moving back in with your parents at 26 years old. They expect nothing of us. We decided we were going to wage war on the low expectations that culture put upon our generation and let them know this generation would not be the lost generation, the Y generation. We decided that we were going to become very intentional about who we chose to invest time with. Because you can spend time with people, you can trade time. Spending time and trading time, that's called having a job, because if you spend time and trade time for 5 years, you have money for 5 years, and that's it. You can spend time and trade time. You can kill time. You can waste time. But we decided that we would become very intentional and invest time with people. So we became very intentional of who we allowed to speak into our lives. Our inner circle grew drastically smaller in size, but exponentially greater in value. Our inner circle grew drastically smaller in size the day we decided to get serious about our future. We looked for people that we had a compatibility with, that wanted to do the things and accomplish the similar things that we wanted to accomplish in life. So we looked at our non-productive time and we said, if associating with this person, that person does not move us towards the alignment of our values, we decided we could not afford to spend time with those people anymore. Because your association will make you or break you. It's probably one of the most powerful things, your association. I mean, isn't it amazing that if you have children, if you ever had your children go over and spend time with somebody else or somebody else's children, they went and spent the night over at a friend's house, came back home the next day and was back talking and sassy? What would be your number one thought? My kid is bad? No. You'd be thinking, they're not going to hang out with that kid anymore. Because all this is, their back talking, their sassiness is a symptom of their association. Can broke be a symptom of association? Can divorce be a symptom of association? Calling your wife old lady be a symptom of association? Being in debt and buying things you can't afford to impress people you don't even like, could that be a symptom of association? We decided to become very strategic around who we allow to speak into our lives. Relationships with intentionality. It's amazing how many people have approval addiction disorder. They're so hungry and they so desire the approval from everybody else around them that they never actually make great decisions for themselves. It's amazing our generation wants to change the world, right? Isn't it amazing? That Generation Y, we all have this idealistic view of changing the world. But before you can change the world, you have to change your world. Because 10,000 followers don't change the world, but one leader does. 100,000 followers do not change the world, but one leader does. But guess what's being taught in this amazing organization? Influence, leadership, the truth, principle-based decision-making, values, character and integrity. What if there was thousands and thousands and thousands of you guys that over the next 2 to 5 years of your life decided just to draw a line, buckle down, and put in the work? We decided to become very intentional around where we chose to invest our time. I read something recently that says, never make somebody a priority who's making you an option. And never make somebody an option who's making you a priority. When someone treats you like you're just one of many options, help them narrow their choices by removing yourself from the equation. It's not pride, it's self-respect. Don't give part-time people full-time positions in your life. Know your value and what you have to offer and never settle for anything less than you deserve. And I read something recently that says, a nation is born stoic and dies Epicurean. Now, I didn't really know what those words meant. I just thought it sounded really smart. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to look up what these words mean. And stoic means, it's like the people who, let's say, for instance, came over from Europe to the United States of America, started the United States of America, willing to put their lives, their fortune, their sacred honor to defend freedom and to fight for what we all now feel is just our rights. They fought for it. They were willing to give up short-term pleasure for long-term gain. But as time goes by and it gets further and further and further away from that original core, people become Epicurean, meaning that they become entitled. They did not know, they don't understand the price that was paid for the freedoms that they now have. As growth happens, you can read about it in a lot of major companies that they said as growth happens, like I think about with Apple, because Steve Jobs was really the vision, the passionate leader behind Apple, and as this organization grew larger and larger and larger, he didn't touch every person. It got further and further away from him, and they said that after a while, the leaders, the original leaders of that organization used to look at each other and go, it's just not like it used to be. And I'll end with this. For leaders, vulnerability, being willing to be vulnerable with your coach, with your mentor, they should know more about you than anybody else in your life. Because the more they know about what's going on in your life, the better they can mentor you. Man, we can look back at our journey, we've failed far more than we've succeeded. So if you feel like you're feeling 90% of the time, guess what? Quit looking out here for answers and out here for answers. Stay committed to the partnership of what your mentors are teaching you. Don't look all over the place. Stay committed. Because you will feel like you're coming up short again and again and again. but your mentors can see farther over the horizon than you. We just had to begin to just have faith that what we were being taught, what we were being mentored, was going to work. And we stayed committed.